South Australia Treasurer Tom Kutsato's will slash 750 public service jobs to pay for his defeated bank tax, and will sacrifice future surpluses to cover a raft of new spending in the lead-up to the March state election. The Treasurer's mid-year budget review, the last glimpse of the government's books before polling day, foreshadows $370 million in savings over the next 4 years, which is the same amount the blocked bank tax was set to recover. That adds up to a net reduction of 263 public servants, plus further reductions in government-run corporations South Australia Water and the Urban Renewal Authority. A third corporation, HomeStart, will be spared the job cuts but has been forced to deliver 100% of its 2016-17 and 2017-18 profits to the government, up from the usual 60%. Mr. Kutsato's said frontline services like police, nurses, doctors, teachers, ambulance officers and firefighters would be quarantined from the cuts. Contrary to savings measures in recent budgets, Mr. Kutsato's said it would be left to departmental chief executives to find savings from their own back-office functions. Making arbitrary decisions from a podium, it is not tough, it's weak, Mr. Kutsato's said. He said it was too early to say whether the job cuts would require redundancies. There could be some targeted separation packages, absolutely. But they'll be voluntary. The government delivered a bumper $443 million surplus flat out het 2016-17 financial year, $204 million higher than expected at the June budget. That was thanks in part to the privatisation of the Motor Accident Commission, a dividend from South Australia Water and delayed spending. But forecast surpluses over the next 4 years have been revised down by $388 million. This year's forecast surplus has been slashed from $72 million to $12 million. An unexpectedly high $1.6 billion windfall return from the privatisation of the state's lands titles office has allowed the Treasury to wipe more than $1 billion of government sector debt. But debt across the government sector and corporations like South Australia Water is forecast to climb over the next 4 years. GST revenue has been revised up $348 million over the next 4 years. Property and gambling taxes have been written down by $269 million, but improving employment prospects will see an additional $40 million in payroll tax collected. A failure to recruit enough foster carers will mean the government will have to pump another $159.1 million into the child protection system, mostly to pay for residential and commercial care for vulnerable children. That is in addition to an extra $518 million spent on the child protection system since the release of Margaret Alad's Royal Commission report last year. Another $467 million will be spent on additional services in the state's hospitals, with some of that spending pumped into the recently opened $2 billion new Royal Adelaide Hospital. An additional $96 million will be spent on demolishing, remediating and preparing the old Royal Adelaide Hospital site for development, after a deal with a private sector developer collapsed. Moves to boost the flagging fortunes of the Adelaide 500 car race, including big headline concert acts Robbie Williams and Cold Chisel, are set to cost the budget an additional $9.6 million over the next 4 years.